By the end of this video you'll understand why the biggest AI stories this week aren't about breakthrough technology at all, but about how companies are getting dangerously creative with their math and their marketing. This week we've got SpaceX supposedly running a compute empire worth more than most Fortune 500 companies, OpenAI launching security theater they're calling lockdown mode, and Microsoft's futurist discovering AI agents that apparently exist mainly in conference presentations. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most ridiculous claim of the week. According to reports, Google is supposedly paying SpaceX $920 million per month for compute services. That's not a typo. $920 million. Monthly. That would make SpaceX's compute business worth $11 billion annually, which is roughly what Amazon Web Services made in profit last year. Here's the problem with this story. SpaceX builds rockets. Their core competency is launching things into space, not running data centers. To justify $920 million monthly in compute revenue, they would need to operate roughly 50 to 100 hyperscale data centers. For context, that's more data centers than Microsoft Azure operates globally. The most charitable interpretation is that someone confused bundled satellite internet costs with actual compute services, or there's some very creative accounting happening with their financial reporting. The more likely explanation is that someone's press release writer had a very bad day, or we're looking at the result of telephone game journalism where a grain of truth got inflated into an $11 billion fairy tale. This matters because it shows how easily the tech press will run with numbers that don't pass basic sanity checks when AI and big tech names are involved. Before I get into story 2, I want your hot take on this. Comment below and tell me what you think is really happening here. Is this creative accounting, bad reporting, or something else entirely? Now let's talk about OpenAI's latest attempt to solve security with marketing language. They announced something called lockdown mode to supposedly protect enterprise data from prompt injection attacks. But here's the tell in their own announcement. They said it would reduce the likelihood of attacks, not prevent or eliminate them. That's like calling a screen door a security system. Prompt injection attacks work by tricking AI models into ignoring their safety instructions through cleverly crafted user inputs. It's basically the AI equivalent of SQL injection, except it's harder to patch because the vulnerability is baked into how language models fundamentally work. OpenAI's solution appears to be additional filtering layers and monitoring, which is essentially putting a bouncer outside a club that has no walls. Any enterprise security officer reading "reduce the likelihood" immediately translates that to still hackable, just with extra steps. When you're branding something as lockdown mode but admitting in the fine print that it doesn't actually lock anything down, you're selling security theater with a premium price tag. This connects to a broader pattern where AI companies are learning to use confidence-inspiring language to describe fundamentally uncertain technology. The gap between the marketing and the reality keeps growing. Speaking of marketing versus reality, let's look at Microsoft's latest claims about enterprise AI adoption. At their Build 2026 conference, Microsoft's AI futurist claimed that enterprises are rapidly moving AI agents into production across various business systems. The source matters here. This comes from a company conference specifically designed to sell Microsoft's AI services to enterprise customers. It's like asking a car salesman about the reliability of cars. The claim lacks any independent verification of actual production scale or success metrics. Rapidly moving into production could mean anything from we have 3 pilot programs to we're actually transforming entire industries. But without specific numbers or third-party validation, this sounds suspiciously like conference presentation optimism rather than market reality. Drop your hot take in the comments and tell me this. Do you think enterprise AI agents are actually taking off, or are we still in the demo and pilot program phase that gets dressed up as production deployment for conferences? Here's what connects all 3 of these stories, and it's bigger than any individual company or product launch. We're witnessing the great efficiency pivot in AI, where companies are discovering that it's easier to optimize their messaging than their actual technology. SpaceX's mysterious compute empire, OpenAI's lockdown that doesn't lock down anything, and Microsoft's enterprise agents that exist mainly in PowerPoint slides all represent the same phenomenon. When the technological improvements slow down, the marketing improvements speed up. This isn't necessarily malicious. These companies are under enormous pressure to justify valuations and meet growth expectations in a market where the low-hanging fruit of AI development has largely been picked. But it creates a dangerous disconnect between what's actually possible and what investors, customers, and the public think is possible. The most concerning part isn't the individual exaggerations, it's the pattern. When SpaceX can allegedly generate $11 billion in compute revenue they don't actually have, when security solutions are branded as foolproof despite admitting they're not, and when conference presentations become market research, we're operating in a reality distortion field that makes rational decision-making nearly impossible. This matters because real money, real business decisions, and real policy choices are being made based on these inflated claims. The correction, when it comes, is going to be brutal for companies that got too comfortable with creative storytelling. If you want the full breakdown of these stories and more every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, completely free, check out the Overfitted newsletter. I go 1,000 words deep on each story with the credibility ratings and context that help you separate the signal from the noise. No fluff, no hype, just reality checks. Link in the description. Hit that like button if this breakdown helped you see through the noise, share it with anyone who needs a reality check on AI news, and subscribe so you don't miss next week when I'll be covering the fallout from Google's latest model release and why their safety testing might be more theater than science. If the smartest companies in tech are this loose with the truth in their press releases, what does that tell us about the claims they're making in private to investors and regulators?